Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Discover Your Potential segment, brought to you by Rise Up Marketing, we're featuring our newest segment contributor, Anna Devere. She is the writer and co-host of the Celebrate Everyday podcast, which is a bite-sized history show entertaining a worldwide audience. Her latest venture brings things full circle with a co-host spot on this Discover Your Potential segment. And today we're joined by guest Ben Gioia, a four-time best-selling author, podcast and international radio show host, and founder of influencewithaheart.com. He helps people write great books in as little as 5 weeks. Now, most online guides to writing a new book begin with writing, but that doesn't work. Now, if you wanted to cook dinner, you wouldn't start with the cooking, now would you? No, of course not. You'd start by preparing your space and collecting the right ingredients. It seems obvious when it's pointed out, but so many people miss this, of course, when writing a book. And the number one thing that separates those who finish their books from those who don't is having the proper expectations going in. Why? Well, because writing a book is very hard. And if you're not prepared for that fact, you're far more likely to stall and even quit. But if you know the difficulty of what's coming, you can mentally prepare to get past those obstacles when they come, and they will, unless, of course, you're guided by Ben. Cut two. Have you ever dreamed of writing a book? If your heart says yes, but your mind says how, Ben can teach you write this book in 5 weeks and attract clients before it's even finished. Joining me now is my quarterback and regular contributor, Anna Devere, and her incredible guest, Ben Gioia, in our very first Discover Your Potential segment, chatting book publishing and making your dreams as an author come true. Welcome to the show, my friends.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zen. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Let's dive right in. Ben, what is your story? You are quite the phenomenon here. What made you decide to write a book in the first place and get this whole thing started?
Yeah, thanks. So little bit of history for the story. A lot of successes today. And Zen, thank you so much for giving voice to several of them. And it wasn't always like this, like many of us, right? We struggle at the beginning in our own unique ways. And I used to do all the wrong drugs for about 15 years. So really came from a difficult place and found my way to India for a couple of months, quite a few years ago. And in my time in India, I faced death 4 times within a 72-hour period, right? Bus almost going off a cliff, running from a wildfire, encountering a poisonous snake, and then encountering a mountain lion. So somehow I got back from that experience, from that trip, and was really galvanized around my purpose and around service and wanting to make an impact, and stepped out as an entrepreneur because I knew that that was the route for me to be able to reach the most people and make the most impactful outcomes for people that I possibly could. So I struggled with being an entrepreneur for about 10 years. Really struggled, doing a lot of catering and all the kinds of things, whatever I had to do to make it happen. And as I was thinking about all of this, I had this moment of, wow, I'm going to change my business name from Marketing with a Heart, which is what it originally was, to Influence with a Heart. And I changed my name on LinkedIn. Somebody reached out and they said, hey, would you like to do a 2-day training at Stanford University to visiting business people? And I went, of course I would like to do that. Thank you very much. And we signed the contract and we got all set. And the event planner said, we're so excited you're coming. And I said, I'm excited too. I'm going to show up with autographed copies of my brand new book for everyone in your audience and your staff. So like 130 books. And the event planner is like, wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. It'll really be memorable for them. I said, you're welcome. Hung up the phone and I went, oh, I have to write that book right now. And I had 6.5 weeks from the promise to the event. So I had to write it in 3 weeks, produce it in 3 weeks, autograph all the copies, and show up to Stanford University with books in hand. And good news.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. Yes, it became the foundation for my business. I'm lucky enough to do this work today.
What a beautiful story. That
Mm.
is exceptional. Congratulations. Now,
Thank you so
Anna,
much.
you have a book coming out in the new year based on Ben's program. Can you talk about your experience working with Ben?
Oh, yeah. My book is called Seeing Like a Storyteller: How to Flip the Script and Get a Grip on Your Life so you can be the author of your own story. And when I first started working with Ben, I was a successful podcaster and storyteller every single day, but I never connected with the audience. So right away, Ben's program has you interviewing people. What are their greatest fears? What keeps them up at night? What can you do to serve them? That was like an aha moment. So we started on a really solid foundation. And I thought I was writing chicken soup for the soul. And it got to be much, much deeper than that.
You know, I always tell people expect writing a book to be emotionally uncomfortable and maybe, even afraid because it's a big one. Writing a book is going to unquestionably push you emotionally and expose fears and even anxieties. And this is never easy and never fun. But if you want to write a book, it's almost certainly going to be a necessity. And you have to just face that head on. Now, Ben, your method of teaching book writing is called Influence with a Heart, like you just so
Correct.
eloquently told me about how that name was born. Can you talk about your specifically what your program offers?
Yeah, thank you. So, as Anna gave voice to already, right, this idea of doing business development at the beginning of the writing process, right? So many of us who are experts could write 1, 10, 20 books, depending on our area of expertise. And it's like, well, what's the book that people need right now, that our best clients need right now? So, this method of having conversations about the book not only potentially attracts clients and strategic partners before the book is done, but it provides the language, it provides the lens, it gives the author the opportunity to be able to choose their best stories for the book. So that's part one. Part two is that I'm all about optimization and efficiency, right? Hence the 5 weeks. So I'm a big fan of dictation as part of the book writing process, not extemporaneous dictation where you're just talking forever, but 7 minutes at a time of very targeted dictation, because in 7 minutes, you can speak about 1,200 words, and that right there is 5% of a 25,000 word book. Right? So all of this possibility in that case. And then the last part is the actual publishing. I work with a professional self-publishing company, and a big mistake that a lot of experts, a lot of folks like us make, is that they end up working with a traditional publisher, right? Because we all grew up thinking a traditional publisher is a good idea. For people like us, it's not a good idea at all, right? Because they take your intellectual property, they own your book, you don't have creative control. Maybe you have to write a proposal, maybe you have to get an agent, right? And I say, heck, people need to be served by your stuff. You need to reach them right away. So let's get it done, get it done fast, and leave you in control of your book and not have to jump through any hoops. And as an entrepreneur, it's sometimes really difficult for me to jump through other people's hoops. So that was part of the creation of this process.
That's a fantastic protocol. I love the thought process. Now, Anna, throughout your journey with writing this book, what have been some of the most significant challenges you faced, and how did Ben's mentorship help you overcome them?
Oh gosh, I think my biggest challenge was in believing in myself. And I didn't know that Ben's weekly coaching system would bring me the most excellent personal development program. I went from feeling like I had nothing to contribute to understanding how I do impact lives, to understanding how the process links me together with like minded people. The coaching is laser focused, it's every week, it's very supportive, and it's better than any personal development program I've ever attended.
Yeah, and this requires a lot of discipline because in anything that requires you to sit down to think and write, you have to schedule a time and place to write each day. And most people would think, shouldn't you just get inspired to write? And I say, well, if you wait until inspiration strikes and then use that as fuel to write, you'll be good, right? No, no. Because if you're only just relying on inspiration to write your book, I'm going to say you're going to fail. There's only one single thing that creates success with writing, and every single writer will tell you, and it's discipline. It took me years and years and years as a professional host who writes her own material daily before I understood that I needed a writing plan for every guest, including you. And writing without a plan is like going cross country without a map. Yeah, you might get there, but it'll take you at least twice as long. So you must sit down with your butt in a chair and write just about every day until that book or piece is done. And inspiration might be how you decide to start the book, and that's fine, but discipline is how you're going to finish. And that's really what it boils down to. Now, that's my belief. Now, Ben, what is why is influence with the heart different? Like, what distinguishes it apart from the rest?
Yeah, thank you. So, a couple of things. Some of it is the intention behind influence with the heart, right? The idea of inspiring other people to say yes. So, it's good for them and good for you and good for the world, right? So, it's so important to me to work with authors who are making an impact with their message, whether it's overt and loud and reaching millions of people, or if it's just their small group of people, as long as they're inspiring the yes and giving people an opportunity to take a step forward and step into that place of transformation that Anna was talking about. And then the other part, right, is as we gave some voice to already, is this efficiency? Because we're all running around like lunatics in some way, shape, or form, even if we try not to. Right? This is a very interesting time in human history. Right? So for me, books are so important. Books are so impactful. Right? You say to somebody, "I'm writing a book," and they're like, "Oh my God, you're writing a book. You must know something about something." Right? There's that
Yeah.
immediate assumption of expertise and wow, I could never do that, and all those kinds of things. And I let as many people as I can know that it's actually doable. And if you follow a method and a timeline and use a book blueprint, which is what I offer to my clients, right? You just literally don't have to think about how to construct a book, but you can actually focus on providing the best content to your ideal reader slash ideal client.
That's a great roadmap. Those are some great pieces of advice. Now, Anna, in what ways has your perspective or approach to your subject matter specifically evolved since you started working on your book?
Well, again, I started thinking that I was gonna write Chicken Soup for the Soul in my version of that, right? I tell stories for a living, but what I've realized is that storytelling can be impactful. I never wanted to be a coach because, frankly, I didn't want to have measurable results and people holding me to their success. What I realize now about storytelling is it is every bit as impactful as coaching. And some of my guests on Discover Your Potential are now calling me, and I'm their midnight friend, and it's because my storytelling lowers the barrier of entry. It's a natural way to coach people without coaching them. So that changed my perspective about who I am and what I have to offer.
Oh, that's very deep. Thank you for
Hmm.
sharing that transparency, Anna. Now, Ben, you're currently working on something called the Influencers Formula. We have a minute left. Tell me what this is.
Yeah, thank you. So, Influencers Formula is a book and a process that I've co-written, co-developed with Donna Cundy of the IBGR network, and it basically helps people gives them a plan to create a global thought leadership masterpiece in 6 to 9 months, whether it's with their podcast or book or both. And the magic behind that is that if you do your book right, i.e., dial it into your business, or if you do your podcast right, i.e., dial it into your business, but you've done 80% of the other thing. Right. So leverage is the name of the game here. Once you have your thought leadership gathered in one place, it can turn into 30, 40, 50 other pieces of material, courses, revenue generators, all sorts of wonderful things.
Wow, you really have an entire plan here. And I always tell people, take accountability one step further. Announce that you're starting your book. Use whatever social media platform you prefer. But the point is to publicly claim your intention to people that you care about. You'll get a lot of positive feedback, which, of course, is going to help you start. And the fact that you've announced your intention is also going to help you push through when you're wavering. I always tell people you can talk about what your book is about, who it will serve, what the working title is, what areas you plan to cover. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you tell the world that this is happening. Manifestation, manifestation. Okay, we have 30 seconds left. Anna, what advice would you give to aspiring authors who are just starting their journey based on your own experiences and learning from Ben's program?
Don't be afraid of your own mess to success story. You have genius inside of you, and let this process allow you to discover your full potential.
I love it. Guys, we're officially out of time. Don't move a muscle. Now, listen, manifest and give yourself a new identity. Of course, author is your new identity. As soon as you finish your writing plan and announce your book, it's time to consider yourself an author. Yes, this is getting a little ahead of the game, but You haven't published your book yet, but you will very soon. Nor have you even officially started writing, but you will very soon. Head to Ben Gioia's website and he's going to help walk you through the entire process. You could head directly to Discover Your Potential Show to see more of these incredible segments. You could head to Ben's page on the gram at Ben Gioia, and you could head directly to influencewithaheart.com. That was our newest segment. Contributor Anna Devere, joined by guest Ben Gioia, four-time best-selling author, podcast, and international radio host, whose teachings are currently being used to top thought leaders, game changers around the world. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.